So we got a really good episode for you today. I'm going to actually show you in this episode, we're going to go over something that I haven't done yet before, which is a great thing, and it's a day I've been looking forward to for a long time. But just to give you kind of a recap what's going on, I know the last few videos we went over in forensic detail what went on last week, but more importantly, why it went on last week and the things that the news really isn't reporting. And I'm not going to go over that again. I think it's been hit by about everybody at this point, although we hit it first. Honestly, if you go back, I was probably one of the first people to even break this down for anybody. So if you have any questions about that, you can go back and look at that. But today, I want to cover a couple things. Number one, we want to look at some things that are going on today. And specifically, one of the things that went up on today, as I'll show you, we'll take a look at right here, is silver. And we never talk about precious metals. In fact, I don't think I've ever talked about precious metals. So we're going to pull up the spot price today for silver. And let's see. All right, so silver went up. Let's see, where is it today? It is at 28.92. It was actually higher today. It was at 20. Let's get a month. And silver has gone up a ton. So for a long time, it was around 24. I have 100 pieces of silver in my vault at home. So that's why you don't know where I live, because I don't want to go announcing that. But I have actually physical silver that I bought back in March, because you just didn't know what was going to happen. I wanted to have something in case the ATMs weren't around or cash was in short supply. Went up 24, and then the last couple weeks, it just kept climbing, got all the way up to 29 something today. And the big thing out there that people are talking about is, it's all over, it's on Reddit where people are like, hey, we need to look at silver, but you have to be careful. And it got me to thinking, when I saw this, I'm like, wait a minute, what? Why would the people at Wall Street Bets or anybody like that be looking at silver? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't fit the narrative, right? So, and it just, I began thinking about it. I'm like, look, it's not a stock, and they're not sticking it to a hedge fund. I mean, the hedge funds aren't going to be sitting here like overly shorting silver. That's just not the way it's going to go. And so I wanted to look in a little bit, and I was like, I got a sense that, we're going to call BS on this a little bit. So I looked into it a little bit, and one of the things I found was that this silver squeeze was a hedge fund coordinated attack so that they can keep fighting the GME fight. So what they're trying to do is, everybody on the Reddit side is basically buying GameStop. But if they can get people to bifurcate their attention, it's like, all right, we're going to get these people looking at GameStop and AMC. But if we can get them to look at silver, then it'll make them less potent. And so we realized, we had some guys that went on those Reddit sites basically as straw men, in a sense, and basically said, hey, blah, 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 we're going to give you some analytics and show you how silver, is one way you can screw over the hedge funds. And silver went up. So, but the thing about silver is, so anyway, with that, just understand it was a red herring. It was something that wasn't real. It was something that was started by the hedge funds. It was basically a planted story. But silver is actually a good thing. And like I said, I did buy silver a while back, and I've had silver even before that, because I think, if you look at silver, it basically, the price of silver historically, we're talking about centuries and centuries, it bears a 16-to-1 ratio to silver, or gold has a 16-to-1 ratio to silver. So if you look at the price we have right now for silver, let's go down to here, 21.82 or 28.92. I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. It's saying that gold should be $462 if silver is $28, but yet gold is like $2,000. And so if we look at that right there, basically we're looking at gold is 4 times the price that it should be based on silver. Or if you want to look at it as the inverse, silver is 4 times cheaper than it should be. And yet it's tremendous, has a tremendous institutional value. A big thing that's used in solar panels and batteries and electric batteries and things like that. So as we start to see a move toward electric batteries and increased adaptation of solar panels, silver is going to become way more of a demand. So I looked at this and I thought, well, wait a minute. Like, this isn't a Robinhood stock. Like, there's no way in the world this could be real. And it turned out when I looked into it, it was totally true. However, I will tell you this, having invested silver before, it is one of the most shamelessly corrupt areas. Like, no matter what happens in the market, like, you could see everything happens where silver should move up and silver goes down. It's just one of the, and I'm not going to get into a big treatise on it now, but it's one where if you think there's fraud in the world, you haven't spent time in silver, because silver is probably the area, especially in the market, where there's probably more fraud than anything else. All right, so one of the things I want to talk to you today about, we're going to cover this, and then we're going to go ahead and cover some Corona stats, because we haven't done that in a while. And there's some really good stuff that I want to cover with you, because it's going to really define kind of where the market's going to go and where public policy is. So today, one of the things that I looked at is I said, okay, we are going to go, or actually the last couple of days, one of the things I did with AMC, I was driving home when AMC was going through the roof, and I was trying to figure out, should I buy it or should I sell it? And I sold half of my AMC last week, and I was trying to think, should I sell any more of it? And the stock price, it was kind of tantalizing. It was basically sitting around, it went $12 to $14 to $16 over the weekend. And I'm like, dude, maybe I should, should I keep it? Should I not? If it, I have half of my stock of it, half of it available. And I thought, okay, well, why does it have to be all or nothing? So what I decided to do is I decided to sell 500 of my 742 shares left. And I was watching it this morning, and I wanted to see where the stock was, and I thought, okay, I kind of came up to a nice sweet spot of $14.25 per share. Turns out it hit about $14.27 and immediately dove back down, and it's now at $12.08. So honestly, I'm very happy with that. That was a very smart move on my part. And right now, I only own 242 shares, but basically I'm sitting here at making, where this price is right now, I've quintupled my money still. So I'm going to let this one ride. I don't care what happens to it. We're letting this sucker ride the whole time. So it's about really cashing in. And I was thinking, like, this is just an event that's just not going to happen again. So you got to book those profits, because with a short squeeze, you got to understand the longer things go, the more likely that you're going to be left holding the bag. And in the Reddit group, there's a term they use called bag holders. They're the people that hold on too long, and when the stock crashes, they still own it, and they lost all their gains. So you definitely want to get out a little bit early on that. But that being said, I don't think it's over yet. Robinhood is still restricting the amount that you can buy on that stock amongst others. And so that's keeping things from really ending. It's really artificially pushing this off into the future and punting it. But once they open it up further, you're going to see these prices go higher, which is one of the reasons I wanted to let the rest of it ride. Over the weekend, I bought Dogecoin just because I read some things on it, and it kind of meandered a little bit. It's down 14% today. It's a crypto. I'm not too worried about it, but it went up like 1,600%, and Elon Musk was talking about it. So I only bought $1,000. We'll see what happens with it. If nothing happens, I'll sell it back. Not a big deal. And if it does go up, I at least want to be there for the ride. So this is kind of one of my flyer stocks that I have right there. Also today, I was looking at some other stocks. I had today Vine, which is a biotech company. They just came out with an acne and rosacea drug, and this stock's been going up really well. If we look at them, they're up. I mean, basically, let's take a look at movement for the last 2 days for Vine. And they're going to be number one, I think, if I remember right. No, they're up 16% today, and this is a biotech company. They've done really, really well lately, and I just thought, it's not really part of my portfolio, but when I had a biotech company, one of the things that I wanted to do was I said, okay, I'm going to hold on to it until it pops, and then I'm going to sell it. So when we look at Vine, let's go open up Vine here. Vine Therapeutics. I'll show you what it's done over the last month. Very flat, jumped, went down, and recovered its jump. It got all the way up to about 263. It's sitting at 258 right now. So I thought, okay, well, Let's get back here. If it gets to 270, a little bit over 273, we'll sell the whole lot, basically double our money and reinvest the money. Also, Signet, I looked at that as well, and that's our jewelry one. That's our number one producer. Is up, it's a 540% profit, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. I mean, we've more than sextupled our investment, and I thought, okay, the same thing. I never really expected much, that much out of it. If we go back to our projections and we look at Signet, let's take a look here. The expectation for Signet was to go up 4.41, and it actually went up 5.4. So we are $2,000 above what I thought I would have on that. So one of the things with that, I decided, okay, we're gonna sell not all of it, because it went up, it still could go up. We have 166 shares. We're going to sell 100 of it. When it hits 42, it's sitting at 41.60. Not much movement. I just want to make it an easy sale, and we'll reinvest that money as well. Just book the profit while we have it. And then, let's see. So we have those. And then with the money that I made from AMC, we're not just going to let it sit around and do nothing. I mean, we're not here to earn 0% return on our money. I have a cat here who's trying to get in my way. Decided to buy some more stocks. So specifically, we looked at adding to Carnival Cruise Lines. All right, the cat's going down. So Carnival Cruise Lines was sitting here at negative 7%. We have 75 shares. So I thought, okay, well, let's go ahead and double that. So we'll add another 150 shares. It's currently at 1887. I'll buy it at 1850. And that will knock down our cost basis, probably close to 19 overall, which would kind of put us at a break-even point where we're at right now. And then, so that's cool. And I definitely want to look at cruise lines, because you guarantee when we look at AMC, the cruise lines are absolutely getting shorted, and nobody's really talking about it. So Norwegian, which I used to own, we'll put another $2,000 on that as well. It's sitting here at 22.48. If it gets down to 21, which I'm sure it will, we'll put a buy in for that. And those both are about 2.3 times upside. Red Rock Resort, one of my favorite resorts in Vegas. Same thing. It's sitting here at 23.36. I just want to get the stock, so I don't really ask that it does a whole lot. So we're going to put it at 23, and I'm just going to revisit that. I might drop it a little bit, so we'll highlight it just to remind me. AVCT, this is our cloud computing stock, and just as first of all, tech stocks have always done really well, and this stock, did pretty well for me. It was kind of up and down, but when it went up pretty fast. I don't really have a whole lot of tech stocks in my portfolio, so you want to have as a little bit of a hedge. So we'll just put $1,000 in it, not much, just enough to say that we have it, and we'll see what happens with it. iHeartRadio, they just did a deal with Colin. Well, it wasn't really a deal with Colin Cowherd, but I know there's some type of partnership where Colin Cowherd, the sports guy, is starting his own podcast network. So we're going to add that on there. Stock that I wanted to get for a while. It's been on my watch list, so we're adding that as well. And then Sabre, they do airline reservations. So as soon as everybody starts to get vaccinated and more people fly, this stock's going to take off. I've been wanting to add this one forever. All right. So with that being said, we'll take a look at some Corona stats. We'll take a look through here. Obviously, the cases have absolutely plummeted. These are obviously San Diego stats, but absolutely plummeted down to almost minimums to where they were before. The deaths are, again, almost down to zero, as we're seeing right there. We've been talking about that for a couple of weeks. Testing's been kind of average. You see a pretty flat baseline or a trend line right there. And then the positive test rate is absolutely cratered. I mean, if this were a ski slope, it would be a double black diamond, and you'd probably get an Olympic medal just for finishing it. All right, so we'll look at hospitalizations. Again, for coronavirus, absolutely plummeting. We look at the daily hospital census. Coronavirus, people are getting let out of the hospital, which means that it's not really affecting things anymore. The bed capacity is still the same, and we start to see people in the hospital, but they're actually feeling like they're going back for non-COVID related things. All right. And then hospitalizations by week, we had one bad week. Other than that, it's a pretty strong trend line. All right. And then we'll take a look. One more. And one of the things you notice here, the same thing that we've seen for the longest time, pretty much everybody that's dying is really sick and really old. We have somebody hit 100 years old, which is awesome. Congratulations for them. But everybody else is really following the same pattern. So really at this point, the one thing I looked at this and I'm like, well, they just started opening up vaccines for people who are 65 or older, if you can believe it, in California, like just a few days ago. So this is, I think, is just a factor of like, had they put these people as a priority to be the first people to get a vaccine, these would have been very, very avoidable. But if we go back to the original stats we have here, where they're starting to go down, I think this is attributable to the vaccine being developed a little bit and the case rate going down. But the good sign is this, is everything's pointing in the right direction. So if you guys haven't invested yet, make sure to do that today. I really wanted to talk to you about booking gains when you're looking at something where you get something that's unexpected, you get the goal that you always thought you wanted to get, and you take advantage of things like AMC where, I mean, who would have ever thought that was coming? But when you have such crazy things happen, you got to book the gain because they're not going to happen twice. And you can use that money to do more stuff that you wanted to do. And as such, we were aiming at about 300,000 as our target goal. But right now with the reinvestment, we're shooting for about 350. So my thing, as I've always said, I said a couple weeks ago, the next 4 to 6 weeks is going to be where most of the money is made. And this is where you start to see it happening. So if you have any questions, reach out to me and let me know. But like I said, things are going exactly to plan. And this is the time we're going to make a ton of money. To get more information on the sales cheat code, go ahead and click on the subscribe button below. Also, down below in the video description, down there, there's a link that takes you to our website that gives you additional content, some additional freebies that we have, and gives you information on some programs that we have that have been proven to help people to make sales easy so that you can make the kind of money you want, live the lifestyle that you've always wanted, and not have to struggle in the process. And what might be the coolest thing of all is you don't have to put much effort into it. It truly is a cheat code that most people don't know about. And it's a cheat code that can change your life today. So click on the link below and let me help you start to experience these results starting right now.